Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin, proud messenger and delivery boy, bringing to you today one of my more important videos, how to install Windows Terminal. And as a bonus, will show you the VSCode trap. So happy President's Day. Earlier I showed you how to uninstall and reinstall Ubuntu on Windows 10. And this continues in that spirit, in that we can simply pop on over to the Microsoft Store and begin the purchase. Well, it's not really a purchase. And we just start typing terminal. It should be popular enough by now. See, there's Windows Terminal app. And then there's Windows Terminal Preview, right? So we are going to look at the Windows Terminal app. This is ready for prime time. It's out there in the Microsoft Store, just like WSL, the Windows Subsystem for Linux, is out there in the real world. You don't have to be on the Microsoft Insider program on one of the developer rings. You can just activate the features and get Linux on your Windows system, as I did over the past several videos. Now this is a very slick presentation of what is a very slick terminal package. And I could just hit get. However, this is one place where I would be willing to be on the bleeding edge, even though I'm not going to be on the insider track or any of that stuff. We still see that there's this other option when you type terminal. What is that? Terminal preview. Is that something they forgot to take out of the store from when this was a preview only software? Well, no. This is the preview build, which contains the latest features as they're developed. The Windows Terminal is a modern, fast, efficient, etc. marketing stuff. Well, that's the one I want, so I hit get. And you will notice, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to type VSCode, and you will notice there is no VSCode found on my system. It falls over to a web search when I do that, you see. So I've now downloaded Windows Terminal Preview. I will launch it. I guess I'll close out of the store here. Yeah, because it covered the launch of it. There is the Windows Terminal, see? You can mostly identify it by the tab. You can add new tabs right here, and it'll add new of whatever your default environment is. And it appears this looks like it's a PowerShell, Windows PowerShell, with a black, more attractive background than the traditional strange blue they chose for the PowerShell. And that means this is normal DOS. dir would work, but ls would not. Hey, ls does work. Hey, I learned something. So they're making, oh, it's PowerShell. This is not COM. This is not a command prompt. But this is where I should show you the unifiedness of the unified terminal. This is nice. This is magic. The fact that they already see my Ubuntu 20.04 install and put it on a drop-down menu is true magic. So you want to see Linux in a tab? This is after a recent restart, so that's it. That's booting there. And if I do an ls, you'll see it's, I guess, my home directory on Windows, which is very, very interesting. That is the big change between WSL 1 and WSL 2, Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's been around for a long time, and the one that recently just dropped. You have a lot of file system interoperability between the Linux side and the Windows side. So let me demonstrate that in as glorious of a fashion as I can. I guess I want to do it right here on the same screen, so it's kind of a real-time demonstration. I'll throw that tab over there, or this thing over there. And over here, I will hit Windows E to bring up Explorer. Knock that over here. And now I made that home directory easily accessible there. And keep in mind, this is Windows Explorer on the right. This is Ubuntu on the left with a different file system, arguably. But you can see that path there. So it's from root. It's in the /mnt directory, /c/user/ your username. Sounds very familiar. Anyway, without any further ado, I will type touch, which is a Unix/Linux command for creating a file, and I'll just do the traditional old foo.txt. Watch over on the right hand side. There it is. foo.txt gets created. We have Vim here. I saw on the last video I made on this topic that when I typed Vim, it was in fact pre-installed. So I can quit out of Vim and then type vim foo.txt. And I can edit it there. You can see the temporary file getting created in location. And I can type hello world ! And then write and quit out of Vim. Is that being unresponsive, or am I being stupid? Q. It seems to have stopped taking my input. And I don't want to lose this video because it's been awesome so far. So I am going to Control C. I'm just going to forcibly close that. Okay, interesting. I mean, go right back into it. You'll see some of the nature of this system, how quickly these things respawn. In actuality, that's a heck of a lot like, what would that be like? Rebooting a machine. Now, Control Plus works in this environment. I should have done that long ago so that you could have seen that stuff more closely. But I can attempt to vim foo again, but we're going to get a message saying, oh, cannot edit it. I'll abort. Let's see. Exists already. Yeah, I typed the right thing. I'm going to delete this temporary file, and I'm doing it from the Windows side. Now, if I repeat that command, vim foo.txt, I don't get that message. And now I'll do what I meant to do, go into insert mode, type hello world, escape, W for write, Q for quit, right? That's what I expected to happen. Now, if I double click on foo.txt there you see the hello world. So there is kind of the beginnings of integration right there between the Windows side of things. You see here I'm running Notepad when I double clicked on that file here. And when I edit it here, it's like it's on the Linux side of things. So in this way, you start to get a little bit of that feeling of integration between Windows and Linux. So it's very easy to, stay compatible with your Office environment, with your Excel environment. I'll be running Excel, pretty much on a day-to-day basis in my day job. And on that same machine, I can have this going on with all that dev type stuff that we do. So I'm going to throw in as just an extra little bonus some other things because we've already got Terminal installed, so it's really mission accomplished. But I did want to show you how to get rid of PowerShell as your default and make it Linux. So every time you boot up your terminal here, you got Ubuntu, you got a Unix terminal sitting there in front of you, right? And I will also at the same time show you the VSCode trap. All this time we have thus far been able to avoid being drawn down into this powerful vortex of yummy proprietary awesomeness in the guise of free and open source. However, it's going to own your muscle memory, so beware. Even with the argument that Visual Studio VSCode is free and open source, you're still going to be in the Microsoft customer funnel. So I am anyway, but I'm going to try and keep myself from being a hardwired Microsoft person. I'm going to try and always keep my options open. However, when you click on that settings, this is what begins. How do you want to open this file? Oh, interesting. There is actually nothing that automatically activates. Wow, that's new. In the past, it has allowed VSCode to get onto my machine. Now, it has to be a deliberate choice, and it's not even amongst the first options given for how to edit your settings. So very interesting. I'm going to come back to that then. I'm going to make that a separate video because there's a lot to cover now. I thought I was going to be able to show you the trap where VS Code gets onto your machine if it wasn't previously, because it controls the settings interface for making changes in like which of these is your default and other little tweaks we do at this time, including getting rid of the tab. All this talk about a tabbed browser. And when I have this over here on screen 1, replacing Notepad for my daily journaling, right? That's where we're going here. I use the Vim text editor on my daily journal over here in tab 1. Over here in screen 1, I don't like the tab showing. So that will also be in a forthcoming video because that involves editing of that preferences file. I think it's profile.json. That normally this would have caused the popping up of VS Code, and it does not anymore. So good. Excellent move by Microsoft decoupling the use of this wonderful unified terminal that brings up PowerShell, Ubuntu, and I might as well show you command prompts with equal ease, right? Where I said dir works and I was going to say ls doesn't. Now here's where ls doesn't. The ls command does not work under a normal DOS style command prompt, where it does work under a PowerShell, because PowerShell has a lot of concessions to Linux people who needed something usable on the Microsoft platform. And PowerShell was their answer to that for a number of years until they finally just threw up their arms and gave everyone Linux like they wanted. So here's step 1 in making it usable after it's been installed on your machine through that whole WSL install process. You really want to make sure that that terminal program gets installed on your machine. It's pretty easy. And once it's there, you can, start typing its name, terminal. Maybe it's Microsoft Terminal. Windows Terminal Preview. Yeah, okay. I don't know why I didn't see that the first time. So we do our traditional thing. We pin it to the start, and once it's on the start, you can drag it out here. I'll put it on this side for visual balance, and you can right-click, go to Properties, go to Keyboard Shortcut, Control-Alt-T. And so you can imagine now when Ubuntu is set as the default, shell type, you do Control-Alt-T, and you got yourself a Ubuntu Terminal. That's what it will be. It's PowerShell you're looking at right now, but that's where we're going. It will, of course, also be full screen for focus. And again, for focus and zone, we will be getting rid of the tab and making a very thin tab that goes across that just has the name of, I guess, the executable responsible for the contents of the terminal. Anywho, that about covers it. Yep. A lot that's getting bumped to the next videos. Yep. Oh, the Explorer.exe trick. Yeah, so you open one of your Ubuntu terminals and you're like, where is this strange location it calls home? Where is that on the drive? I mean, we know where that is, but on the Windows side, but if you got lost somewhere, let's say cd into root and you ls or ls and you go into a traditional user space here. Hey, oh, I cd'd into home. So you cd to root, you ls, you see all these things, and you go to some traditional user spaces like cd user ls, cd local ls, cd sbin, location of interest, and you want to know where that is on the DOS side. Well, first of all, I'll make that bigger so you can see that stuff. You just type explorer.exe period for this directory. Open. Bam! And it opens that location over here on the Windows side. So you can see how you could put things in a traditional Unix or Linux location, user local bin, from the Windows Explorer side. That's the level of integration that's here. And then as a really final thing, this is something I learned from the Mac. This is such a common thing to do, to type over and over, that it might as well be an alias in your machine. So get your Linux habits on. There's a lot of ways to do these different things, but probably the best way is to, from your home directory, so that's cd /, you can ls-la to see what's there. I can already see the bash profile isn't here. There's a dot profile, but not a dot bash underscore profile. And I am going to demonstrate it to you by doing echo. No, I'll just use Vim. I got Vim here. No reason to echo. Vim dot bash underscore profile. Echo. Hello world. Now if we open a new Ubuntu, there's your hello world, right? So it's like a startup script or a auto exec bat or whatever you want to call it. But for new terminal windows, it's not necessarily on boot. That's why it's bash profile. There's a bunch of different ones of these, but what I wanted to do in this bash profile is an alias. And we'll just say alias open, the word open, equals explorer.exe period. And now any terminal that I open using this, I can cd to these different places, like cd just one level up, the users, type open. There is the users directory on the Windows side. So left hand always knowing what your right hand is doing. So you know, you don't need any kind of network software to transmit files between the two sides. There's no VLAN keeping these two things apart. From a network standpoint, there is, from like a communication protocol standpoint, but from a graphical user interface standpoint and a file system standpoint, there's not. And it's just wonderful. It's a great daily, workflow to be in when you want the advantages of old school, Linux there that most developers really use these days, and the modern conveniences of Windows. So you can do things like click the eraser on your stylus, portion off part of the screen, do some annotations on it, and send it off, or podcast it, or not podcast, but use it as a media component in a YouTube video or whatever. The sky's the limit, and that is what you get for the money right now on a relatively inexpensive Microsoft product. And it's nice. I like to be on it. I like me some styluses. You got 3 ways of thinking. You got your language way of thinking here, where you got your journal and you think things out. Then you got your programming way of thinking, which actually I have occupied my traditional browser screen with a terminal right now because of the nature of the video. But a browser would be in the middle running Python, and over to the right, always something visual, which I didn't do any pictures with today, but I'll do a little happy face. So I'm happy with this video. I hope you are too. And of course, as usual, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.